Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Timothy Lee, and I'm a mining analyst here at Red Cloud Securities. We welcome Marshall Koval, President and CEO, and Scott Hicks, VP Corporate Development of Lumina Gold. They will speak to us about Lumina's CANGREJOS gold project in Ecuador, which is a large resource that is moving forward in development. Marshall and Scott, you have 10 minutes. Then we'll have a 5-minute Q&A at the end of the session. Attendees, please feel free to ask questions using the Q&A link below. Take it away.
Thanks, Tim. We really appreciate it. Yeah, the Lumina Group Lumina Gold is part of the Lumina Group, and our track record is basically shown on this slide here. We raised about $275 million and returned to $1.6 billion to shareholders. A lot of that was in the gold and copper space. The current companies are Lumina Gold, Luminex, and Strategic Resources. So we're going to talk about Lumina Gold and our CANGREJOS project today. Next slide. So CANGREJOS is the largest primary gold deposit in Ecuador, about 10.4 million ounces of gold and indicated and 1.4 billion pounds of copper. And then we have additional inferred resource, 6.7 million ounces of gold and 0.8 billion pounds of copper. We completed a PEA in 2020. Right now, we've made the decision to move forward with the PFS. I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go forward. But the 2020 PEA showed a large project capable of 366,000 ounces of gold production a year, a long mine life over 25 years, a low cost, $604 an ounce AISC net of the copper byproduct credit, and robust economics at $1,400 gold was a $1.6 billion NPV at a 5% discount rate. If you go up 20% to 1680, you get to a $2.5 billion NPV. So we'll continue to advance that. And it's one of the top 15 gold development projects in the world right now. Next slide. So just by way of background and ownership, Ross Beatty owns 19.98% of the company. We have an Ecuadorian investor group, about 18.4%. Management and the board, 9%. And Route 1 out of San Francisco, a diversified investment fund, has 6.8%. Just shy of 400 million shares fully diluted. No warrants, primarily just the difference between the issued and outstanding at 375 is options to management and staff. Next slide. So CANGREJOS has a lot of things going for it. It's in southwestern Ecuador. It's close to the Puerto Bolivar, where Mirador copper mine is shipping concentrates today. It's got infrastructure, the Santa Rosa Airport. We're near the power grid of the national power grid. We've got paved roads within about 8 kilometers of the site. There's ample water available. The initial project contemplated in the PEA was 40,000 tons today, expanded to 80,000. Sufficient water there. It's low elevation. The highest point on the project is about 1,300 meters. And no communities directly on the project. We have communities about 7-8 kilometers away, good working relationship with them. Through the COVID situation, we've put a lot of aid into the community and actually strengthened our relations with the community. Let's keep going, Scott. So we get a lot of questions about CANGREJOS. Does it have scale? Yeah, it's the 37th largest primary gold asset in the world by resource size in all categories, production, development, and just resource. 12th largest undeveloped primary gold deposit by gold production capacity. And you know, what about the grade? So we think of this, it's a large gold copper porphyry system. You think of it in the context more of the type of mining you do with a copper mine. So if you look at it from a copper equivalent basis, Cobre de Panama, Mount Milligan, Red Chris, all similar sort of grades to CANGREJOS. What about the CapEx? The PEA was $1 billion. That level of funding has been deployed in Ecuador, you know, with the Mirador mine being over $1 billion and Fruta del Norte being just under $1 billion. So that's happened in Ecuador. We're starting the PFS, as I mentioned. We've got work going in the field right now. We have drill pads set up. We're mobilizing a drill contractor as we speak. So hopefully in November we'll be drilling, and it's roughly a 6 to 9 month drilling program. That's a long lead time item on the PFS. So we're going to be focusing initially on CANGREJOS, doing the work there. And then we have the secondary deposit, BESTIA. We'll be drilling there as well. So these two deposits will form the basis of the PEA. And besides just the infill and step out drilling, we're going to step out at BESTIA over this ridge. And beyond that, we'll be doing geotech, hydrogeologic, and a lot of the other drilling that you need to support the PFS. Let's keep going. So here's a cross section with CANGREJOS on the right. You can see the darker pit limit. That was the 2020 PEA. You can see the two pits are very close together, roughly 1 kilometer apart. We're not going to do drilling in the middle in this campaign. And the drilling to date shows that there is mineralization between the two, but the two deposits are discrete now and they'll have their individual pits, and that's how we'll move forward with the PFS. Next slide. So just looking at this, so in year 6, we'll expand the project to 80,000 tons per day, and that'll give you the initial capital of $1 billion, and the expansion's about 450 million additional expenditure. And life of mine, we'll be able to produce 366,000 ounces of gold, as I mentioned, and at the peak, it'll produce almost 400,000 in year 1 through 5, and about 50 million pounds of copper at that peak, and then about 46 million life of mine average. I already talked about the cash cost and the NPV, so let's move along. Metallurgy is really good on the project. We'll produce both the doré and a gold copper concentrate. About 12% of the gold will be produced in doré, about 70% in the gold copper concentrate, and then the recovery overall is 82% for gold and 84% for copper. There's byproduct silver and molybdenum. In the PEA, we looked at a molybdenum concentrate being produced. We'll continue to evaluate that in the PFS. Next slide. This is just a layout of the project. You can see both pits in plan view here, CANGREJOS, BESTIA, waste rock storage facility, a conveyor down to the plant site, and a dry stack tailings disposal facility for tailings. So pretty tight footprint, should be positive in the context of moving the project forward and permitting it. Next slide. So when you look at the scale of the project, there's only 28 active gold development projects that can produce over 250,000 ounces of gold a year. CANGREJOS is the 5th largest held by a primary gold development company. These are the independents are the gold bars here. You can see the blue bars are, majors or mid tiers. You can see where CANGREJOS sits. Hard Rock, I'm on the board of Equinox Gold. We're building that right now. Cote on the other side, that's being built right now. So we're in good company there as far as the scale and the potential of the project. Blackwater also, Solaris Norte is being built. Next slide. So there's a lot of detail on this slide, but it kind of shows you all the different projects that are being built, the scale, and I think the takeaway from this, and you can go to our website and study this a bit more if you'd like. The takeaway is, the project benchmarks pretty well against these development projects that are either in construction or soon to be. And then if you look at the developer peers, Ecuador developer gold and copper peers versus Western developers, there's a bit of a discount. Western developers are trading at 0.38 PNAV, and Ecuador's at 0.31. A lot of that is Warintza and Solaris. But if you look at Sol Gold ourselves, we're down about 1.6. So that, to me, that's the upside. investment opportunity potential. We should see re-rating and things move up with time. Next slide. I think this is probably the most compelling slide from an investment perspective. I think if you look at back to January 2017, our market cap and the size of the resource was 4 million ounces there. If you fast forward to today, you know, the resource has grown substantially. We're up to the 17 million ounces. So the resource has grown over four times. Gold's gone up about 50%, and our share price is only up 10% from that time period. So to me, that's a good reason to look at Lumina. We think there's a value disconnect, and I think as we continue to de-risk the project, that we'll see that diminish. So since 2018, we showed a large-scale profitable project at 1,300. Subsequently, we drilled 40,000 meters. We doubled the size of the resource. We updated the economic study in 2020. I talked about this earlier, 1.6 billion NPV at $1,400. And now we're on this path to de-risk the project further by doing the pre-feasibility study, which we're mobilizing, and we're in the field right now getting ready to kick off. So basically, the team's had a track record of successfully monetizing these large-scale assets. We'll continue to risk CANGREJOS, and I think that wraps it up for my talk here. So we can move to questions and answers.
Great. Thank you very much, Marshall, for the presentation. And now we'll move on to the Q&A. We didn't have any questions submitted yet, but I guess one thing I'd ask is just kind of a general question of what's next, kind of looking forward and what the plans are, what are the next steps for the project?
Yeah, so we're really going to get in and work on optimizing the pre-feasibility study. Obviously, the infill drilling, the majority of CANGREJOS is drilled to indicated already, but we have some infill and some work there. We'll step out a little bit at BESTIA. Hopefully we go over the ridge and expand the resource a little bit. And that's not as critical as many ounces as we have. You know, we have 17 million ounces, but it'll help the engineering to lower the stripping ratio and that sort of thing. So we're doing all that type of work, and we're looking at trade-off studies to optimize the PFS. Scott, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, news flow will probably start seeing assays, I guess, early 2022 here once we get the rigs going. You know, we're kind of seeing month and a half, 2 month turnaround times from holes right now in Ecuador. So, you know, I think that just a steady flow of drill results coming out from January to probably May, June type timeline.
Great. And I guess one other quick question. Obviously, Ecuador had an election earlier this year, but things have seemed like they're on a positive track. What can you tell us about the politics and for the mining industry there?
Yeah, so President Lasso came into power in May, and then in August he put out a decree. It's Decree 151, and basically he's trying to further bolster the mining sector, get more foreign investment, clean up some of the permitting, some of the issues that they've had in the country in the past, and make it a real good jurisdiction for foreign investment. I was in New York a couple of weeks back and met with President Lasso and listened to him, you know, face to face on this, and he's pretty adamant about the need of mining to be one of the cornerstones of the economy of Ecuador going forward. So I think it's on a good track in general.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much, Marshall and Scott, for the presentation today, and thank you everyone for joining us today.